I just want to be in the zone.
Welcome to The Artist Cut, where I have honest conversations with creatives about what shaped them and why they create. I'm Maya, I'm an artist and curator, and I'm here deepening my art practice and building community one story at a time. Today I sat down with Autumn Spears, a DC-based interdisciplinary artist and educator. Her work explores Black communities within cultural and historical narratives, pulling from folktales, biblical texts, poetry, and oral traditions. She works through braiding, quilting, weaving, and collage, with braided hair showing up as her central motif. Her debut solo show, Becoming, marked a major milestone in 2023, and her work has been featured in major DC institutions, such as the MLK Library, Anacostia Art Center, and Anacostia Community Museum. So let's get to it. Here's our conversation.
I just want to be in the zone.
Let's do it. Holding my mini microphone.
We need that Metro card.
We do because
Little
I've seen
Metro?
people
We gotta
with
do-
the smart trips, like doing it. Yes.
We can start something or something.
Get
What
on
would
the
be like an
train.
artist
Talk
thing?
about art. Yeah.
Like, would you you could do a paintbrush
I have seen people do paintbrushes too.
or like a crochet needle or something?
yes.
We
We're
can
just
try it.
using all of the things.
Or just like yarn, just like hold it around.
Just
We'll
have
see.
it.
You know, it would be like a little
Hello.
echo vibe.
exactly. Hello. Hanging by a thread.
Hanging-
by a thread. That's
That could be like a cool
I was about
podcast
to
name.
say that is the name of our show. That is not the name of our show, but that is the name of this piece. It is called Hanging
Braids
by a
and
Thread.
threads connecting legacies.
Yes, hanging by a thread. yes.
So, okay, Autumn.
Yes, Maya.
Autumn, I want to know everything about you.
Oh my
Autumn and stuff.
gosh.
You were born here.
Yes, born and raised in
DC.
DC.
So how did you start getting into the art scene? When did you start saying like, I want to make stuff and express myself in this way?
So I have always been an artist since I was a kid. Obviously, most people say that and it looks different over the course of life. But yeah, I always knew I wanted to do something art related. Like when I was a kid, I loved reading. I was like determined, like, oh, I'm gonna be an illustrator. Cause like
I mean, your paintings, your drawings are spot
Thank you.
on. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I will always spend so much time like with my book reports. Like, yes, I'm doing the writing piece, but like those little drawings of like the characters of the book cover, always went in on those. Yeah, and I just always really liked art. I went to school to study art, but it was more so from the education side because my background
I saw
is
that. Yeah.
I have a very dense experience with teaching art. And I want to say, like, immediately coming out of college and then jumping like straight into that consumed my life for like a long time. But then the school that I went to was a liberal arts school, but I really enjoyed the art program there. I love my professors. I genuinely feel like I am the artist that I am because of my experience at that school with those specific professors. But when I had left college, it was a weird time because I graduated during the pandemic. So it didn't, even though I knew college was
undergrad?
over.
This is
Yeah, this is
okay.
undergrad. I graduated during the pandemic, so college was over for me, but because it had this very like abrupt, unfinished like ending, I was just like, oh, okay, like trying to find myself, figure out life. And that's when I started teaching. And art kind of just fell to like the backside because it's like,
You got to pay those bills.
yeah, like it was so crazy because everyone's like, when you go to college, all these doors are gonna open. You're gonna get all of these jobs. When I graduated college, Maya, the world ended. It was on pause for a long time. But the college debt was like, hey,
there.
like,
Yeah.
what's good? You got your degree. Give me the money, you know? And so I just jumped into that, and art just kind of like fell to the wayside. I wasn't really doing it unless it was something that I'm teaching for my students, you know? But because of like the relationships that I had with some of my professors and the art faculty at my school, and them really just like mentoring my growth, they invited me back to the college to have Like, that was my first solo show.
Wow.
That I ever had. And it was interesting because I was supposed to have like my senior thesis show when I was in college during the pandemic, but it got canceled. So it felt very special to be like invited like back to our main gallery like on campus and show my work. And I was teaching like then.
At that time? So
yeah.
how did you have the time to, how did you start making the time to, okay.
So
You know
that's
I'm
the thing. You have to make time. But it's so hard. It's so hard. But yeah, I'm in a different phase of life now. And it's like, girl, you thought this was hard. Like, what is now then? You know, like extremely difficult. But yeah, I was just making time. And I think it was just like a dream, like that I'm getting a chance to experience that. Even though, like, say when I was younger or even just in high school, I'm like, oh, yeah, I would love to make art. I would love for my work to be places to show. That wasn't the reality that I thought that I would experience because a lot of people don't. But I think my perspective of what showing work at that time looked like was very limited. And so, yeah, when I got offered that, I was like, oh my goodness, like this is huge. I never thought something like this would happen to me. And when I had that show, it really just clicked something in my brain because I have a very interesting relationship with teaching. There are parts of me that really love it, but there are parts of me that just really struggle with it. And so teaching and preparing for a show like that at the time, I was just like, this feels like preparing my work for other people to see it. This feels like what I'm supposed to be doing.
You felt like you were aligned with yourself. Yeah.
Yes, because especially like whenever you're learning something new, obviously, you know, there's difficulty, but teaching, like, I have a whole degree in teaching, Maya. That didn't prepare me for nothing. I felt like when I was thrown into the classroom, I was thrown in with the sharks. And it's like sink or swim. You're figuring out things on your own. The school community that I was at was very much like, you just got to figure it out, you know? Trial of fire, you know? There wasn't a lot of grace. And so it was just very, very hard for me.
All wrapped up in the pandemic emotions that are just already going on. Sense of isolation, perhaps.
Yes.
Was this virtual too, by the way, or were you actually?
Well, no. So when I started teaching, yeah, because it was weird. The way that my school did it, I was doing student teaching like during the pandemic where everything was virtual. But then like when I came back to DC and started teaching, that was at the time when schools started going back.
Gotcha.
So the first school that I worked at was like a hybrid type of situation. It was crazy because like students are sitting in front of me, but then I'm also on the computer with students that are at home.
Hybrid teaching, hybrid facilitation is wild. It's like almost, it feels nearly impossible in your brain.
It was crazy, but I think the school that I was at, like, they kind of had a science to it because I think the students who were, I guess, like, academically, like, a little more stronger, they were like, okay, you guys can be at home, but everybody that's, like, at risk, that needs, like, that one-on-one, y'all got to come to school every single day. So they had a system with it, which I thought was good. But it was just crazy because, like, I'm online with the virtual students, like, okay, that's all, y'all. We have, like, hours left to school, the students that are in front of me. But, yeah, it was a crazy experience with that, but learning, I guess. And then the year after that, that was when everyone was back.
Oh, everyone was back.
Everyone was back, and that was when I had the show.
Wow. So then how did you make the time? What did making the time look like for you as you were navigating, preparing for your first solo show and working full time?
Yeah, so I think the way that the show was, because I didn't have like my senior thesis, some people, like I had like a virtual, what was it, a virtual opening for that? Because I put everything, like I made a website and just posted pictures. But you know, pictures aren't the same as seeing something in real life. So that body of work
Especially your work is so textural.
Yeah, very textural. And so you have to be there to see it in person. So I don't want to say it was like a retrospective because it's like, Autumn, like, girl, who are you? You're not at this age. At the time, I was like 22 or 23. So it's definitely not a retrospective, but the show was very open. It wasn't like a specific theme. It was just like, Autumn, we want work that is showing like your development of things that you did in college and where you are now. So all of that work that I made for my senior thesis was there. Some of the like even just the work that I made in some of my classes while I was a student was on display. And then I made a few new pieces. So it wasn't like super crazy, like to try and like carve out like insane amounts of time. Cause I think for that show,
Because you weren't necessarily starting from scratch. You also had a perspective.
yeah, I had
You
a
had your
perspective and I
style,
had
yeah.
work that it was like, oh, okay, like I made this last year or 2 years ago, but no one ever got to see it. So I had a lot of things to pull from, but it was interesting too because that was, I want to say, the birth, that entire like last year of college and then the year of preparing for the show was really where I started to develop my style and themes surrounding Black hair.
Mm-hmm.
And so making those pieces like with some of the physical hair, it was like, oh, okay, like I'm exploring this style that's very new. I'm still figuring out what it is. So that conceptually definitely took time, but man hours and stuff, it was like, okay, realistically, I only had to make like a few brand new pieces, which is crazy because like some of those pieces that I made for that show are, it's like bittersweet because those pieces are very near and dear to me. It tracks like the very beginning of like this style of work that I guess I'm becoming known for. And so they're gone now. Like to other
That's what I'm
people,
feeling too. Is like
to new
I'm starting to make
homes.
new art that I'm proud of, and
Yeah.
people are like, "Oh, I want to buy this," and
And
I'm
it's like, but this
"I
is like
wanna
the
see it."
prototype.
I know.
This is the very first thing of like evidence of this thing you have. But
Yeah.
in time, you'll feel different.
For-
In time, you will. And
it's like little babies, you know.
Yeah.
I know we have to let them go. They're children. They're gonna grow up.
Literally,
go off to
Maya, that
college.
is the same language that I use. And I feel like people would think like, Autumn, you're crazy. Like, get the money. Let the
But
piece go.
a lot of ourselves are in
Yes.
work,
And
so
just
it
like
makes sense.
where you are like in your life, whether physically
That's
if you're in a
true.
certain place or mentally, like all of the art captures, it's like a time capsule in a sense, like who you are and what is going on at that time. So when you're giving pieces to people for new homes, it's like, not saying they're taking a piece of you, but it's like, oh, this was made at a certain time of my life and now it's like gone.
How have you come to terms with that idea? Have you come to terms? I mean, I know you're still evolving your own practice.
I am, because I think, and I don't want to make it seem like, because it's definitely not always a money piece, but definitely it's like, okay, Autumn, like
But
if
this is
you
your-
want to get paid from your work, you have to let it go. Like you cannot just hoard all of your work.
That's another thing. Where do we put it? You know?
Exactly. Because that's honestly, like literally Maya, I have some of my paintings that I made like the first maybe like, or maybe technically second, because like I was in an AP art class and it was really interesting that they had us making like bodies of work for the portfolios that we used. Because I was like, I wasn't thinking about art like that while I was making it, but I'm like, oh wow, like they actually had us on something. But like the first body of work that I made in college, I still have that. Do I want to still have it? I don't know. Because like some of those pieces, I am just a fan of large art. Now I'm like for this 2026 era, I'm like, Autumn, you need to start making smaller.
Wow. I always hear a different, like,
'Cause
I
it's
was talking to another artist at
space.
Umbrella and they're like, I need to go bigger. I need to go
No, because where is it going? Like whether you're
Mhm.
keeping it, because like for me, like I just bought like a print from like a local artist that I am obsessed with. And I have so much, I am trying to be a collector, not in a sense of like, okay, like I'm dropping multiple Ks on pieces yet, okay?
bigger. That's going to happen.
But it's like I want to own work from artists that I really admire.
Yeah.
And if I have all of these large old paintings in my space, where am I putting them, Maya?
You're just gonna have a really extra wall, like art wall. You know what I mean?
And so some of these like older pieces, I'm like, okay, I don't want them to just wind up in like a black hole or something. But do I need to be the person that still has them? No. But it's so different. Like, it definitely is like a timeline of how I have grown, like what my work has like looked like. I think what it's been about is still it's connected. It might not be exactly the same, but I can see they come from the same roots. But I'm like, okay, I want to get these pieces out. And I think just with time, like time is it's just a very like sentimental element to me because it's like people always talk about money. Time, you can never get that back.
That's true.
You know, and like I said, with my thinking with art, time and these pieces like capture a piece of you and who you were at a certain part of your life. But I think as you grow and you see the growth in yourself, it's like, oh, okay, like I was really proud of this at the time. I am still proud of it, but I know to make space for what is coming because we're
You
always
have to kind of shed that other.
Yes.
That's a great point.
You
That's a great
have to
point.
shed it. And it doesn't always have to go to like when people are selling work, it's like, oh, this goes to some random person you don't know. It can be people in your circle. It could be people, friends, or
That way
family.
when
Like,
you visit them.
yes, it's like, hey, can you like hold on to this piece for me for a little while, you know? So it doesn't go far and it's just like forgotten about. But this is where documentation definitely comes into play as well.
Taking those photos.
That's
I saw
something.
your portfolio too online.
Thank you.
And I remember too, one of the first conversations I had with you was a discussion around an artist's style and how do they get clarity of this is my voice, this is my style, right? And when I was looking at your portfolio, I saw your style go.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
So yes, like you said, hair, very much there is that theme. There's the texture, the crocheting, the wood pieces too. So when I was reading more about from your artist statement, more about you're picking up on biblical texts. You're picking up on what matters to the Black community. Can you tell me more about how you started evolving your perspective and why do those stories matter to you?
Yeah, so like for me growing up in DC, it's a very diverse city, which I'm grateful for because like the school that I went to is in the middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania. It's a very different culture there. But I love, like I said, my art professors love them. But the place that I went to school, it's a very different culture than a place like DC. But even though DC is very diverse, in my experiences growing up in the city is very segregated. And that's something that I learned early on, like coming out of elementary school through like high school. Like the city is very, very segregated. Like logistically, like where places are and where
We're
people
literally in
live.
quadrants.
Yes.
You can put quadrants in like
But
boxes.
also
Yeah.
socially as an
Yes.
element for that. Because like the high school that I went to, it was super diverse. And I feel like there were definitely lots of mixed friend groups, but there were also lots of groups where it's like, oh, okay, like all the white kids just stay with them. All the Black kids are over there. All the Hispanic kids are over there. All the Asian kids just stay together. And so kind of just like navigating what to me felt like these very segregated spaces. Like I was just trying to like understand my own identity. And especially like a lot of the classes that I was in, it's like through my education all the way up even till college, where it's like, oh, you're like one of 4 people of color as a whole in a certain class. Not even just, oh, you're like one of 4 Black people. It's like, no, like.
And that's also another conversation too, which spearheads to, I know that you've also talked about being sometimes the only Black person in white art spaces, which is it has historically been common, but I'm happy to see that we're chipping away at that.
Yes, same. And so I think, yeah, my work was just very inspired by some of those experiences to investigate like how people relate to different, like especially like with like the biblical text that I was exploring like earlier on. Like I remember I created this painting of like Adam and Eve, and I wanted to keep them very like racially ambiguous, but also like, okay, racially and ethnically ambiguous, but also like, let's just be different. And I literally remember someone coming up to me and they were like, why would you make Adam black? And that was like a whole discussion. And I was just like, well, why is it a problem if like this person, we don't know if they're black. They have a darker.
Correct. On so many levels, right? Like historically,
yes.
Where did like Jesus come from?
Yes,
and
like
there's like that conversation.
Literally historically.
And also art, it's your interpretation, your perspective. You want to see either yourself in there or just what you know. It's your community. It's your.
And that was like the part that was interesting to me, how people relate to things depending on how they see themselves in stories or how they see themselves excluded from certain stories. And so that really got me like kind of into this idea of really taking from narratives, whether they are biblical stories or even most recently I've been pulling from a lot of like folktales or even sometimes films and things, just really seeing like, I guess now specifically how African Americans are represented in stories that are told by people of our community versus stories that are told from people outside of it, but they're supposed to be about us, you know?
There's this artist, and I apologize for not knowing her name off the top of my head, but I just started following her on Instagram, and she is currently painting the Black alphabet. And I think that do you know
feel like
have you
I
seen
know
her too?
who you're talking about, but maybe I
I
got to do my Instagram research.
I'll send it to her to you the next time I come across it. But that was very important too, as I'm don't want to make assumptions that you don't know, but like to even use examples and visuals that are representative of her community herself. That's huge. And then just reinterpreting that from her lens as a painter. And I think that we, especially with the fact that so many artists of color are being censored right now and their work is being taken down because of what the government is saying, it's more important than ever to like stay true to your perspective and your voice.
Yeah, and just tell your own story. And I just think obviously like with larger institutions, like they kind of operate how they operate, or people that are in positions higher above that, they're going to tell them how to operate, you know? But I think like, especially for me, just kind of being where I am in my career, I love being an emerging artist. It's great.
It's exciting.
It's so exciting.
So to see you do your work out in the field. And like every time when I saw you at Umbrella, when I saw you at Washington Studio School, it's so cool to see your art continue to evolve and push itself. And that's why I'm saying I see the theme, the consistent theme, but you're still different. You're adding to your work every time.
Just growing. Yeah, I think that's for all artists. Because honestly, I feel like I know the type of work that I'm making as of right now. But there are definitely some things that I am just like, let me just keep making these pieces. I don't have the exact wording to explain why, but I know if I continue making, then it'll come to me. Because like when I started making like these pieces with like the physical hair, I was just like, I don't know why I'm doing this. I don't know why, but I just have to keep making it and then it'll come to me. And that's what I feel like a lot of these, I guess, especially like now that I'm trying to incorporate maybe like these like craft, like fiber art traditions into my work. It's like, I don't know exactly like the full extent of what it will blossom into, but I just have to keep exploring. And I feel like I have the freedom to do that, you know, especially like I said, I just really like being an emerging artist because I feel like there is a certain style that I have, but it isn't like I'm being expected to do.
You still want to play.
Still play, still explore. Like people aren't expecting like certain things from me for the rest of my life, you know? So I'm just continuing to make, and then what happens, how will the work continue to build upon itself? That is That's what we're gonna
That's what we're
see.
gonna see.
Yeah.
I'm a collage artist, a mixed media
Yes, you
artist.
are. Yes,
Just
you
like
are.
And I noticed that every time I think I found like a perspective or like how I want to represent my collage, I push it in a different direction.
Mm-hmm.
So for example, I start off by painting paper and then using that as my source
Yes.
material to create portraits. Then I went into magazines, and the magazines allowed me to have a different type of texture in the imagery of the portrait. From there, I then took a class at the Washington Studio School with Marie.
Yes.
Good tier. I don't know if you've
Shout out
known
to
her.
Marie.
Marie's amazing. And she pushed me to think about collage and mixed media in grid formats. I like seeing the human in everything. So even with the grid, that did challenge me because humans are not grids.
They're not in a grid. Yeah. Very
And
fluid.
then very fluid. And then most recently, I'm exploring a mixture of like cyanotype and news images of deportations because I really want to take a look at, similar to Jacob Lawrence's migration series. I'm looking at, okay, as a Latina, deportation series of Latino communities, right? Or Latina communities. How do we still humanize individuals who are being treated as not human?
Yes.
And how do we still hold accountable this unjust system? So I just have noticed that evolution, and you're right. Like, how do you keep pushing yourself is perhaps really a thing that we should always be doing as an artist.
Because I think everybody has like the little seed that their work or their ideas come from, but there's so many ways, like even what you were saying, just like exploring different materials, there's so many ways that you can go and just continue to add on to like these core concepts that are your anchor in a sense.
Yeah. Ooh, okay.
You can do that in material, but also even you're doing that in both material and your subject. Like you just keep, have you ever heard that phrase where people like push the envelope?
Yes, I'm a consultant
That's what it
too, so
is.
everybody's like, we gotta push the envelope.
Yes, and that's just what it is. Like you just keep going deeper. Like you're just connecting more threads together. But when you look back, because I feel like in my
Do you ever
experience,
get stuck though? Do you ever feel like I can't get past, I don't know, moments of feeling stuck and I need to push the envelope, but something's holding me back?
because I would say, I don't know if I might use the word stuck, but just trying to figure out, like, even as of recently, like, just trying to find for me what is the common thread. Because sometimes I think, at least as of recently, I've really been getting caught up in the materiality of my work. And it's like, as I'm switching between these different things, what is that unifying idea that is connecting all of these things together, even if they might look different visually? And that's something that I feel like I am still working through. Like literally, Maya, when you were like pulling things from my artist statement, I was like, yeah, I really need to rework this because like it definitely is like me. But as
But
we were saying,
you've
it's like
evolved. Yeah.
things are like changing and it's like things are growing and are expanding. And like we're witnessing that in real time in ourselves, you know?
We are growing. Right?
Yeah.
So then it makes sense why our art would shift.
Yeah.
So tell me more about how you got into specifically knitting. Did you make this? It
Yes,
looks very
I did
similar
make
to your.
this.
Okay.
Thank you.
I gotta get you to like twirl around.
I got you. Let me stop. I got you.
So you started incorporating images, and the one piece that I'm really thinking about is, I believe it almost looks like a student yearbook. Now that I'm thinking about it, where
Yes.
your background as an art educator, and then some of them become almost digital faces. Can you tell me more about that specific piece and how you got there?
Yes.
You had a mixture of
So
this. You had wood. You had a bunch.
I feel like with that piece, like I really love that piece. I feel like logistically, I'm like, okay, Autumn, maybe you were trying to do too many things in one. Cause like
But
it's
it is
drawing, it's
amazing.
yarn, it's this, it's that.
It was amazing.
Thank you.
It is
I
amazing.
really love that piece, and it has inspired like some of the work that I'm doing now, and just continuing to see what will come from this style and combining different mediums together. But again, like that piece was inspired by literature. I don't know if you've ever read the book or seen the film. The film is different from the book. It's called Beloved by Toni Morrison.
Yes.
And so, yeah, I feel like the way that my thinking is, it's very cyclical, but also very like ping pong sometimes. And so initially, I was very inspired by Beloved, like the character from that book, like the daughter who comes back to haunt her mom, essentially, in a way. And just really kind of reflecting on this idea of how children of color are just not safe, to the point where, like, in that story, her mom killed her in a sense to protect her because she didn't want her to be enslaved. And that idea was just, it was very powerful, but just also very sad that it's like literally children are not safe. Like, even when you're thinking about what's going on now, how children are literally being deported, but they're also
used
being
to deport their
they're
parents.
used as pawns to deport their parents.
That.
And it's like literally children are not safe. And it's like children are like so new to the world. They're not corrupt. They're so innocent. And you would think that because they're so innocent, you know, like these bad things should not be happening to them. They haven't lived long enough to deserve anything like that to happen to them. Not saying people deserve bad things,
Understand.
but
Yeah.
they're just like super young. Like they've literally done nothing. And so when I was just kind of like thinking about that idea, and just how her mom chose in the story, chose that option, what she thought to protect her, it just really like hit me. And so initially, like I can literally show you my sketchbook because the sketch that I had for that is totally different than what the piece looks like. It's not at all the same thing. But just thinking about her as a character, it kind of brought me to just like real children, like prominent like stories that include like African American children being killed by people or killed as a result of hate, like in a larger action. It just kind of got me to think about that, and just like literally these kids were not safe. There was nothing that their parents could do to protect them, unlike in the story Beloved's mom was choosing to protect her in a certain way. And so I wanted to create kind of like this memorial piece honoring them, because the story that Toni Morrison wrote, it was inspired by a real story that she found, like as a news clipping, but Beloved is not a real character. But it's the fact that it's like, oh, you're this fictional character with a story that mirrors like the sad results of real children. And it's not just one, it's not two. Like, that's a whole quilt of children, but there's so many people that were not even included on that. And there's still children today whose stories like that, like, oh, they're being killed unjustly by individual people or by the system
By the
that
system,
we're
by the-
all
yes.
living in as a whole, as an act of hate, as an act of neglect. And so, yeah, I wanted to create that quilt to honor them. How did I come to the crocheting part? That I have no clue.
Something to kind of bring them together, perhaps.
Yeah.
But also, like, well, does crochet represent something to
So
you?
I want to say it just feels very homey to me. Like my aunt taught me how to crochet when I was super young, and it's something that stuck with me. And I know that I want to say as a whole, I'm sorry if I'm like talking all over the place.
I
too.
love this.
Okay. Hopefully this is making sense, y'all. Stick with me. Stick with me.
I'm right there.
Okay.
We're good.
Like there are so many like types of things that I like to do, but I know how to do. And so I feel like with my art, I don't want to just be like, oh, people just know me for painting or you just know me for drawing, especially when there's so many
You want to keep people on
things.
their toes. you know?
Yeah, and I was just like, I want to, I'm sorry, explore how do these things come together? What would they say if I brought all of these mediums or craft
That's why I like
traditions
your work.
together?
You're not afraid to mix. I just
It's
really
so
love when
exciting to
people-
me.
Yes.
It's so
Well,
exciting.
Makes me think. I mean, here you are representing. Just going back to that
Mm-hmm.
piece, because I can still see it. You have these images of kids who have been killed by the system and other people. and you're wrapping them in something that represents warmth.
Yes, and
you know,
home
and
and
home.
family. And it was interesting because I feel like some of the work that I'm making, you know how sometimes you don't always have a concept of what you're doing, or I guess just the impact of it when you're making it like alone. And so
Sometimes you have to put it out there for people to react to.
yeah, and so one of my friends, do you know Addie
Last name?
Moore?
No.
Okay, shout out to Addie. But my friend Addie, she runs like a crit club where people can come and whatever pieces they're working on, you
Ooh,
can
how
show
do I
them.
sign up?
So literally the one that just happened this month, it happened yesterday, but she does it once. I know I wasn't even there. I went to another event. Sorry, Addie. But
let
she
me know
does
about
it
the
once
next
a month.
one,
Yes,
yeah.
it's like on the last Thursday of every month.
Okay.
There's all types of artists there. Like I feel like you never know like, and I think it's helpful to have lots of different people's opinions on your work instead of just like, oh, I'm a painter and only painters are looking at my work. Or I'm a photographer, only
That's a good point.
photographers are looking at my work. You know, or even people if they're like a writer or something, you know, everybody has
I
different.
just love creatives because our brains
Yes.
think different.
Everybody sees something different because they have different experiences. So when I was working on that piece, I believe I bought it to Crit Club like twice. Once when I had just started like drawing the images on some of the panels, then when I started like connecting some of them together. And when I was making it, it's like, oh, I know I want to use all of these materials, but I don't know exactly why. And when I was showing it to the group that was there, just hearing some of the things that they were saying, I'm like, yes, this is exactly what this material feels like. And just, yeah, one person, it stuck with me because it feels so true. Like, with it being like this crocheted blanket type of material, they were like, yeah, like these kids never returned home. Like they will
Ooh.
never be wrapped in
Damn.
another blanket. And I was
Damn,
like,
damn.
that is so deep. And yeah, I think sometimes when we're doing things, I can only speak for myself. And another friend was like, yeah, you just do these things because they're in you. Because I don't think at the time, sometimes I always have the language, but I'm like, I know
You
this
feel
feels
it.
right.
Yes, exactly.
This feels right. This feels like the perfect material or the perfect image to tell the story, but I'm still processing it. But that's why I think, like you're saying, like having community, having other people in your creative process when it feels right for you. Yeah, it just is very helpful because, yeah, that Crit Club session was
That's awesome
very,
that they do this.
literally the next time it happens, I'm going to send it to you, Maya.
Please. I would love
It's
to go to that.
such a good time. Such a good time. And you get to see art, meet people.
Be inspired. I mean, this is why I like going to a lot of art events, museums, because I'm constantly inspired. A couple months ago, I went to go see Superfine.
I have never gone to that. I need to go, Maya.
Blew my mind. So I saw that, and at the same time at the Met, they had a Lorna Simpson
Yes.
exhibition.
Yes.
And I did not truly understand the range of her work.
Mhm.
So to see I think it was part of her, I don't know if this is what it's called, but the Blue series, she had like a bunch of like blue collage paintings. And I actively started, just that inspired me so
Yes.
much. And then the storytelling of Superfine.
Yes.
I just love the intentionality, and that's what your work shows me. So last question on this piece, because as you can tell, I'm obsessed.
I know. Sorry, y'all, if I took you on the roundabout.
I gotta post this piece. You have the images of the kids and their faces changed. So what was
Yes.
the reason or the rationale for that?
So all of those children are real children who existed. And it's interesting because like on the bottom row of this piece, like you mentioned, there's like this digital kind of like pixelated images of children. And it's serving two purposes. And it was interesting because when I created it, it was one intention, but then like having it out and seeing other people like talk about it or asking about it, I'm like, oh, I can totally see like this might read as something else. So initially, those children that are on the bottom row, were supposed to be more representational portraits of these children who were killed during the move bombing that happened in Philly in like the 1980s, I believe. And there were no photos that exist of those children. All of the other images are like photos that I found online from like obituaries of these children. But those children that died in that bombing, there were no photos of them. And so for me, it just didn't feel right trying to like show someone, a vulnerable kid as well. Like, this is a kid who's no longer with us, trying to make like some made up image of them that is not them, you know? And it just didn't feel right trying to make up something. So I know that their group had like a very like certain aesthetic to them. Like all of the members in their groups, even the kids, they had locks. So you can see their hair, you can see like a shirt or something that they're wearing, but I put like that pixelated like kind of grid over their face because I literally don't know what these children look like.
Yeah.
But it also serves like this double purpose of like just the system that we're operating in. They were
Representing-
killed.
Yeah.
These children were killed by their local government, like literally the Philly police. So as of, I want to say, people of color, whenever they're coming together, they're radicalized in a negative way. They're considered hate groups and they're targeted by the government. That happens not only in America, but in a lot of places. But they were one of those groups that happened to. And they were like, oh, they're a terrorist group and this, and that. Some of their members were accused of killing a police officer.
So justify those actions.
Yes. So literally the police like bombed their house. When they were coming out of the house, the police were shooting at them to force them back inside to the burning house. And so when you're thinking about like that, I'm like, that is so crazy that your government killed you. And like their parents were killed, they were killed. And that was just so crazy. And I feel like the
It goes back to
pixelated,
like even the concept of beloved, like you said, like
Yes.
the original inspiration it's like the choices that our parents or parents have to make, specifically Black and brown parents have to make in a country like this.
Yes. And so that pixelated imagery, I feel like kind of alluded to that government, we're all living in a system type of feel where it's like, do people know you or are you just another number, like a stat in the system? And sadly, that's how those children and their families were treated. So yeah, it was kind of serving two purposes. And it was interesting because I was like I texted while I was working on this, I texted a friend and I was like, okay, is this gonna look like random? Because these are the only kids that have like that type of effect.
I think that was where I remember how I felt when I was looking at it for the first time. Like first I was drawn in by the crochet, the images, and I did start at the top. And I felt like the narrative,
just changed.
And I was just like, holy shit. Yeah.
And it was interesting too, because I remember when I showed this piece at Crit Club, there were some people, I think, even if they didn't recognize some of the children, which that was like a whole thing while I was making this, because some of the children that are on there, it's like, okay, like they were killed maybe like before I was born or like decades ago. And certain things I had to research, like I'd never heard of. But certain children that are on there, I'm like, oh, these were like very big cases, like a part of like very modern and like recent history, like maybe no more than like 10 years ago or so. But I remember I was working on like a portrait of Mike Brown and my mom was like, that's such a nice picture. Who is that? And I was like,
I was going to ask if you put like Trayvon.
Yeah, like, are you serious? Because, but it's just the news cycle, I think.
And also how often Black and brown bodies are killed.
Yeah, like.
So it's like.
No, that's a whole thing because I remember this person is they're not a professor, but they work like in archives at museums. And they were talking about like the way that Black death is being like archived digitally. And it's just like over flooding like what we see on TV, what we see on our phones or just social media. And it's just so much to take in. So it is like, okay, like this is happening so often. Who is this person, you know? And that's a problem.
I mean, this is why I love when artists, and this is something I also draw on. I want to humanize people that are oftentimes dehumanized. And I like when artists are also doing the same. And you're saying, hey, this is their face. This is who they are. Even if, you know, there isn't an image of that,
Exactly.
you are still humanizing those kids, at least in that. So, okay, so you take, this is very heavy, and I appreciate you sharing.
No, you were good.
No, so you take that, and I can see, you know, you have another piece you're working on over there, very similar to your cardigan, which I love, and then it has little squares in it. And I want to talk about what you're trying to represent there, and also the fun little twist that you're doing to create it while you have this exhibition going on, because it didn't really work out the way you said you wanted it to.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
So it was a lot of work to put together this show. This is like a group show with me and my friend Monica Jahan Bose. It was a lot. I have never.
And what's the show called?
So the show, yes, the show is called Braids and Threads. It is up in WPA, which is Washington Project for the Arts. They have a gallery here on
like near DuPont
Connecticut
area,
Avenue,
Connecticut. Yeah.
on the same side as the Krispy Kreme, 1350 Connecticut Avenue. I think that is our address. Come through. The show will be up till March 8th. But yeah, initially I like inspired by that piece. That was the first time I'd ever made anything like that. And I really liked the way that it turned out. I really liked the feeling of it. So I wanted to keep exploring that. But obviously the images are changing depending on whatever I'm trying to communicate. And this exhibition as a whole is about, I would say like our work, but more so like the influence that specifically women in our family have had on things that shape our art practices, like me introducing like fiber art into my work. That's something like my aunt taught me. My mom taught me how to braid when I was super young, and that's something that's been in my work for like the past few years. So it was definitely a lot of reflecting on that when it came to the show as a whole. And there are certain pieces that definitely pick up on that like a little more specifically. So that piece still follows the same feeling of like, okay, I have these wood panels that are going to have images on them. They have crochet that's connecting them all together. And since we were talking a lot about family in creating this show, like we also have a podcast where we've been talking about.
Say more about that. What
the
is it called?
The podcast, it's literally just called like the Braids and Threads Connecting Legacies podcast. But you can find it on Spotify. I think the QR code for it is actually right over there.
All right. We got to plug.
Oh my goodness. Listen at your own risk. It's nothing crazy though, I promise. Nothing crazy. But it definitely is just deep, like us getting into our personal family histories and stories. But yeah, since we were talking about family a lot, and for me, family is definitely tricky. I feel like everybody has different relationships and connections to their family. I definitely do, and I don't think about my family a lot because of that. And so this piece, I wanted to make some type of wearable art. I literally will be wearing this, but also I just wanted it to look like a piece of clothing. Because I don't have like, this is weird, because I feel like when I think about some of the relationships I have with my family, they're not like these super gushy, lovey-dovey type of things. Like I feel like I've had to wear, and I still do wear a lot of armor when I interact with my family. For various reasons. But I was just thinking about how certain things are passed down. The show itself explores like those artsy things that we have taken from certain people in our family. But I also think I was just thinking of memories or psychology or just relational experiences that like have shaped me through relationships with my family or what I've learned from observing them. And I think the older that I get, I'm just also becoming a firm believer that like regardless of how you were raised, regardless of what has been projected on you, you have the agency to choose what you want to take on and what you feel this is not my burden to carry. I don't have to do
I
that.
literally say this all the time. It's true, and as I'm listening to you, I'm picking up a lot of themes, as you mentioned, of family, of childhood, the innocence of childhood, and then I also agree where there comes a point in your adulthood where you can choose whether to behave a certain way. You only have you can only really address yourself as much as we want to address.
Exactly.
And that realization as an adult was what opened my mind even more and allowed me to have better relationships, or at least to close chapters on relationships that didn't serve me.
And I think also too, just being aware of like attachment style is definitely like something that's been in my vocabulary as of recent. And it's like, oh, okay, I feel like my attachment style has been shaped by like certain relationships or dynamics that I have with my family. But now that I'm like aware of it, it's like, okay, what can I do to have more fulfilling connections with people that serve me, but also serve them as well?
Do you feel like your art is, and being in this community, because you are out there too. I see you at other events.
I'm trying. I just love art. I'm obsessed. I love art.
I relate to this.
Yes,
exactly. Like, so if you're feeling down, if you're feeling XYZ, good, bad, ugly, how do you turn to art and how do you turn to the community to sustain you?
Yeah, I definitely am a believer of like sometimes you do just need to be alone. And it's weird because I definitely do think that. I know sometimes I isolate myself more than I probably should sometimes when I'm going through things, but art has just been a constant with me, just throughout life, through relationships that have started, ended, or whatever, or still ongoing. Art has remained constant. So it's something that I always return to. But like you were saying, like when you're going to these shows and like you're just getting inspiration, I feel like people always think about art sometimes like aesthetically, but art is also like psychological. It's also like academic. And so when I'm going and seeing these different artists or going to talks to hear artists talk about their stuff, I feel like I genuinely am learning new ways to just be human.
Yes.
And just to see the
I love
world
that.
and to navigate my human experience. So that's something that it's like, I have to do this. Like I need to be out and around because this is literally helping me just survive my day to day.
Oh, I love how you I love that perspective.
Like there's
It's
this
so relatable.
one of my favorite artists, his name is Titus Kafar.
Oh,
you know who he is.
Of
Most
course.
people do not
What
know
are you
who he
talking
is.
about? First off,
literally,
I
Maya,
saw
people
his-
do not know who he is.
Oh my God.
Did you see his movie?
Yes. It was like life changing.
That movie, like
And the
literally,
ending
Maya.
oh my God.
You about to make me cry now because literally I'm just seeing when he cut his like younger self out of that painting and sat him on the chair to finally just rep Maya. If you guys do not know who Titus Kafar is, wake up,
This is your
Google
moment.
him. This is your moment.
Or go see his work.
Yeah.
You see that he has a whole show now at the VMFA?
No.
I believe it
Wait.
just opened like last weekend.
Okay.
It's like around for a month. I'm gonna go there. We should go there.
We should go there.
I'm not even
I
kidding.
am
He
obsessed.
is one of the way that. So there's that. There's like
that movie.
The movie was
like artistically, because this is the crazy part. This is why I'm saying you know who he is. Maya, I went to, do you know who Black Thought is? He was a
No.
part of the Roots.
Okay, so they're
Because people
probably
know the Roots.
Probably then, yes.
I know everybody else in the Roots except Black Thought. Y'all, I live under a rock. And so he had this series at the Kennedy Center where he was bringing like different artists or musicians where he would kind of just have like a little artist talk with them, talk about what they've done, what projects they might be working on. And so Titus was there. And I'm like, I have no clue who Black Thought is, but Titus Kafar, I'm in there.
I'm gonna be there.
So Maya, I'm there and I'm like super stoked. Like I I mean, obviously, I feel like when people see famous people, like, that's exciting. But, like, I am only, like, a fangirl truly for artists.
Yeah.
Like, truly.
Yeah.
But maybe I should say creatives.
Creatives. That's
Yeah, because it isn't always, like, visual artists. But I would say visual artists are pretty high.
I've mentioned this before, but thinking about Bad Bunny and the level of artistry and creativity that this man has, and how he brings this back to his own people, his own community.
The grass.
All of it. All of it.
Literally, I'm like going on a tangent. When I saw the way that everything was laid out, I was just like, how did they set all of this up? And then they got to go back to the game. The people were the grass. The people were the grass.
I really am trying to convince
They just
my
moved
friends
themselves out.
Look, I'm trying to
Next
convince
Super
my friends
Bowl.
to do this for Halloween, okay?
Please.
So
please.
We're gonna try to
But
put
it
a grass
reminded me,
situation.
have you ever seen The Lion King, like the musical?
Not yet.
There are grass people in that. The costume. Go see The Lion. Everything. Just go. The Lion King. The Broadway production, the costumes are so
I would really love to see that. Yeah.
Freaking. That was the first time I've
heard so
seen
many.
grass people.
This is a thing
But
now.
it isn't like Bad Bunny. Like, those people were literally the grass people. Go see The Lion King. Like, it's like marionette dolls, but like human costumes. When this is done, I'm gonna show you a video.
Okay.
So good.
Well, okay, but I want to keep
I'm
talking
going
about
like on a
Titus. I want to
tangent.
talk about
Titus, yes. So his film, like when I'm talking about art that really has helped me.
I saw it in theaters, by the way.
Same.
I was like, I have to see it in
Okay,
theater.
that's why I was on the tangent. Because when I went to that event at the Kennedy Center, he was showing like film projects that he was working on. This is before the movie came out. So I was like, okay, he's making a film. Whenever this comes out, I am going to see this. Because he was showing like clips. I feel like it was clips from that film, but also he's just been like experimenting with film, period. And when I was there, Maya, I'm getting so excited, like, oh my gosh, I can't wait till Titus comes out. And I'm talking to the people in the row beside me. No one knew who he was.
Which blows my mind. The type of the narrative
And I was like, well, then who
storytelling
are y'all
that-
here to see?
Yeah.
He's like the event. And everybody's like, oh, I'm here to see Black Thought. I'm like, he's just, I mean, yes, but like, he's just asking him the questions. No, you don't know who this person is. So I was like educating everybody in my row, but seeing
You're the
that.
ambassador.
And it's crazy because I want to say his wife and his kids were sitting, they were either sitting like further down in my row or they might have been like at the end of the row behind me.
I love that you're just having conversations with everybody around you, and this is amazing.
This man is a freaking genius. Like,
How he also he's a how do I use words
genius.
right now? So he will literally paint, for folks who don't know.
Yes.
He will paint imagery that is representing Black people, oftentimes who were either formerly enslaved or whatever. Not whatever, but
No, I get what you're saying, yes.
And he will almost like, he'll have them pop up behind cutouts
Yes.
of white
I
people.
saw
that
so I first became aware of his work in like 2018 because he had a show up at the Portrait Gallery. And all of those pieces with the cutouts, the way he would
I want to see that live so bad. That's why I wanted
the
to be at I'm
cutouts
hoping they
where
have that.
it was like, oh, okay. Like I literally wrote a whole research paper on one of these paintings. It was the one, it's called The Myth of Benevolence, where he painted like Thomas Jefferson's, like repainted his official like presidential portrait. But I love the way that his work, like the materiality, the tactileness, where it's like you're draping canvas or you're crumpling it or you're ripping it or you're whiting things out or
The
you're cutting
silhouette,
things
but
out.
He loves to cut, yes. And now that I think about it, as I'm hearing what you
love
say,
that.
it makes me think a little bit of Kara Walker. And
I
how she
love
will have
her.
these silhouettes.
Yes. She didn't have a full show, but they did have some of her work at the Portrait Gallery too. Portrait Gallery.
Look, can I tell you something embarrassing?
What? I'm judging you
Okay.
so hard.
Yeah.
JK.
So now it's all in context. So
Yes.
over a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago, I show up to the Portrait Gallery and I'm like, can you direct me where the Amy Sherald exhibition is? And they're like, Amy Sherald, they couldn't figure it out. They were like on the info desk. And then finally they go, oh, it's happening next year. Okay, this now bear with me here, okay? So I was a year ahead of schedule.
That's crazy.
Then I go.
You knew it was coming though.
I knew it was coming because I was like, I have to go. I'm going.
Yes.
And then I didn't realize like 2025 and 2026 were not the same in that moment.
It never came.
No,
Never came.
Right. And then it never came. But I just so happened to be in New York for the.
I saw it at the Whitney.
At the Whitney.
Yes.
You went to go see it
so
too?
I rushed, like, I want to say I went to see it around my birthday last year. And I was like rushing to see it because I missed another show. It was like a show at the Philly Art Museum. Titus was in there. Amy had work in there. Just all of the great like Black contemporary artists. I missed that show at the Philly Art Museum. So for Amy's show, I was like, I have to go and see it. But because I didn't know at the time that it was supposed to come here.
Correct.
But I'm glad I saw it because it never
showed,
came.
No.
It
and
never
we all know
came.
why.
Exactly.
But okay, get this. This is how obsessed I am.
That's crazy.
About art.
You were a year early, Maya.
I've
I'm
never
looking
told anybody.
for-
I know. I was like, can you tell me
Where is Amy's show? Next year.
Next year.
Same day,
Like,
just
literally
next
when
year.
they said that, they're like, it's in 2026. I'm like, oh, got it. Or whatever, 2025.
That's
So
hilarious.
maybe, okay, it was 2024. And then
Yes.
I'm getting my years wrong. All to say, so then I'm in New York. I'm there for a girls' trip and I proceed to get sick. And that trip was to go see Amy Sherald, all of it. I end up at the ER. Okay.
Okay, yeah,
All
you
right.
were sick.
No, I was like sick. I was like, no COVID, nothing. They're just like, oh, you have like a weird cough. So then I said, look, and at that point, like 2 days before they announced that Amy was pulling her show. So I was like, it's now or never, Maya. And this show was about to close in the Whitney.
Yes.
So what I did is I put on a mask. And I was coughing before, and I said, I gotta just not cough when I'm in there so I don't scare
be like,
people. Yeah, just basically, I didn't breathe the whole time. I just held my breath.
for art.
For
Sacrifices for art.
So I got to see her show, and
That's
then, crazy. So
crazy.
I was like, I have to see her show, and this is how dedicated I am to you.
That is literally life or death.
Yeah.
You chose life.
I literally went from the ER straight there. I took an Uber, masked up, so nobody was, in danger.
Yeah. That is crazy, Maya. But
I did it.
I appreciate
and I would
your
do
dedication.
That for Titus. I would do that for Titus.
would literally do the same thing. Like after, like when I first saw his work at the portrait gallery, I was like, I don't know who this artist is, but I need to know. And like when I saw like him at the Kennedy Center, like I told you, I was so disappointed that literally And let me tell you this story, because at the end of his talk, they opened up for Q&As. And I'm like, okay, clearly I'm the only person in this whole audience, aside obviously from his family, who knows who he is. I need to ask this man a question. Maya, did I get to ask him my question?
No.
No. You want to know why? Because they cut it off. They cut it off literally right before the person that was in front of me. And I was just like, so you mean to tell me we spent these 30 minutes with people asking him, so what is it that you do? What's your favorite color?
What?
I was like, y'all literally do not know who this man is. And we wasted 30 minutes of y'all asking him that. I was so pissed. This is where I feel like now I'm just like, Autumn, like, if I was going to get banned from the Kennedy Center, so be it. I feel like I should have just asked my question. Because the lady was like, oh, well, we could email him your question. And then you know what's so crazy, Maya? So I used to teach for the local public school system here. And literally the year that I quit, because I feel like teaching art for the public schools here, like opportunity-wise and connection-wise, it is pretty lit. Like, I'm not even gonna lie. Like, I've been able to show my work in places that it's like, oh, I don't have no connections to show here. So, but the school system, they have the connections. They're like, oh, the teachers who are artists, like, show your work here at this place, show your work at this place. We have all of our professional development at the museums for Teacher Appreciation Week. Like, you know how they do like the National Gallery of Art nights? We have that for like teacher appreciation. It's so like being in the National Gallery of Art.
Dude, I cannot.
I finally went once because my cousin randomly got tickets like 2 weeks ago.
And I cannot get those lottery tickets.
It's hard. It's very hard. But like they have that for us for Teacher Appreciation Week. And they honestly make some of the curriculum that we use. So it's pretty lit. I'm not even going to lie. Maya, I chose the wrong year to quit. When his film came out, they took the art teachers to the museum to meet him.
Were you like, take me back?
Because
Oh my
literally I had a friend who
God.
was still working because like I quit.
Oh
So I'm
my
like, my school
God.
email, I don't have that anymore.
Yeah.
But I found out about it through like a friend who was teaching. But they were like, you can only get tickets like if you're a teacher. You have to use your teacher ID to sign up and all this stuff. And I was just like, I chose the wrong year to
Fuck.
quit.
Oh my
I would have endured another year if I could meet Titus.
We
But
gotta make
that
this happen.
film, like when I'm talking about just like art and just like clearly same thing for you, like that film changed.
I still think about it.
And I feel like specifically when I think about my family and just other like relationships that you navigate through, like romantically, platonically, whatever, that movie like cognitively did something so different to me when you're thinking about forgiveness. Cause I think in my own
Oh my
like
gosh. Yes.
family, and also just like I feel like I grew up like in a Christian house, going to church and these different principles where I feel like people use forgiveness sometimes to like just continue letting bad things happen to you, because I think I was always under the assumption like, oh, like if people wrong you, you forgive them and you just kind of go on as if things never happened. And like for me, I just, not saying, oh, you always have to remind them of the wrong that they did to you, but like if someone really did something to like alter you, how can you just move forward in your life as if nothing happened? And
That's
that's
what I
like
was thinking too. Because
the
there's some people
expectation.
there's some people in my life. I mean, I went through a divorce or whatnot,
Yeah,
but
dang.
forgiving yourself, forgiving others,
Mhm.
and to your point, I left the movie called Forgiveness
Yes,
by Titus
exhibiting
before.
forgiveness. Yep.
Exhibiting Forgiveness. Thank you. I left in that last scene with like the father and the son and him saying like, I forgive you, but I can't have a relationship with you.
Yes.
I
And
I,
when he
I didn't
co-
know that was an option.
Same, because I feel like everyone had this perspective, at least what was taught to me. I feel like it was like inspired by like the faith, but also just like I don't know where else it came from, but it was like, oh, if people wrong you, you just kind of like you move on, get over it, and you still keep them around you and life goes
I'm a
on.
Scorpio. I can't let things go.
Girl, I'm a Taurus, neither can I. Neither can I.
We're not messing with you.
And it's just, but I feel like when I get to that point, like
No, it
I
takes
am a
a
forgiving
while.
person, and it's like if you were on that side of the bridge, the chances you literally ran out of all of them
Yeah.
because I gave you a lot of them.
I'm the same way. It's like I'll give someone chances but
And if
once
you
that's
keep
done,
showing me that I am the person that's hurting myself by being insane of
it's those choices
giving
you make
you
as
those
an adult,
chances.
like you said.
Yeah, when I saw that where it was like he forgave his father, but he was like, okay, like I have to do this for myself. Like I'm doing it for you, but ultimately you're doing it for yourself. And that was like reinforced in that scene, like I was telling you, where it was this image that he painted of like a very traumatic like moment from his childhood with his father. And this artist, like we've been talking about, he manipulates the canvases like literally. And that definitely changes the meaning of the painting. Like what you're choosing to obscure, what you're choosing to keep visible, what are you taking out? What are you keeping? When he cut himself out of the picture, freeing him from that memory and just constantly replaying that and constantly living in the pain, like literally psychologically, I was just like, you forget, well, at least for me, I have to forgive so I can finally move on with my life. Because staying trapped in that bad memory, in that bad scenario, you're literally hurting yourself. Like you're feeding yourself these poison memories, thinking that that's gonna make the other person sick, and it's making you sick. Like it's affecting
And
you.
he was stuck on that painting. Like in the movie, he was stuck on that painting. He
Yes.
couldn't figure it out. It was tormenting him. A lot of the other things were.
That movie
he was-
changed me.
Me too. I can't. I'm not
That's
lying.
so
I literally still think about it.
crazy. Yes, I think
And
about
I
that
love
movie
your
a lot.
perspective on it too. And like, there's things that I
That part, like literally, I
it
was
also talks about Black
crying.
fatherhood.
Yes.
He is now a father. How does he want to be a father?
And that whole thing, because I think when I even think about my relationships with my parents, I know that they are the way they are because of the people who raised them or didn't. But it's like knowing that, what are you going to do to help yourself like navigate those experiences, navigate those emotions, and especially that responsibility piece of like, are you going to project those same things that you endured on the children that you have
The
now,
future generations.
whether intentionally or unintentionally? And yeah, that's what I think about a lot just now that I'm older. And I think just being aware of like, even though I feel like I've gone through certain things, I want to do something different for myself. And if I do decide to have children, like I want to do something different for them. Cause it's like the cycle just has to stop.
I really
Yeah.
admire and appreciate how reflective you are and how open you are. And in many ways, I can see that in the choices you make, in what you create, not just with art, but just like in your life, right? Your community. And I really, really appreciate
Thank you,
that.
Maya. The feeling
Oh,
is
yeah.
mutual.
Okay, we're gonna give each other a real hug.
Yes.
Not this, like, side hug.
Maya, we need to go see this Titus show. Now that I know there's another person like
All right, let's make a plan.
equally as obsessed as I am, and this is a person, like I said, genius academically,
Yes.
but also
Yes.
interpersonally. Like
He really is just like, he is a version of a for my reference, like a Bad Bunny, right?
Yes.
Like someone who doesn't just exist in one plane.
Yes.
There's all these levels
it's
to them.
layers.
And I get so
historically,
fucking excited about that.
like it's layers. He's one of
Did
my
you see his
favorite
work
artists.
at Giants?
I did. So that piece, it was like the piece of
It was like the
Muhammad
three-
Ali. Yes.
I saw
That
that.
I was literally talking about him earlier today to someone who came to the crochet circle, because he had a piece in did you see The Shape of Power that was at the Portrait Gallery?
No, I don't think so.
Because we was talking about that show, and like I was surprised, like obviously they were censoring Amy's show. So she was like, okay, well, if you're gonna censor me, I'm not gonna show up, respectfully, And so seeing how that played out with The Shape of Power, I think that show happened before she was supposed to come, but I was surprised that show stayed up as long as it was, because of like the nature of that show, and like history is literally being rewritten in books and in museums. But he had a piece in that show. It was, I don't know the name of it, but it's like a relief sculpture, but also like 3D sculpture of like George Washington on a horse with the
I've seen
glass
this.
pieces. I've always seen images of that, but seeing that in person,
Chills. Yeah.
like I felt like I was seeing Titus right there. It was not Titus. Titus, if you're watching this, come back to DC. I have questions.
You're not gonna like this, but he also had an artist talk at the VMFA like last weekend. I think it was last weekend.
Was it a part of Giants?
No, it was a part of his new show. I'm pretty sure.
Did you go?
So I had a conflict because that's why I'm like, I think it was last weekend, because otherwise
It's
I would have
like
been there.
every chance. I promise I'm not a stalker, but like every chance.
No, he is
like
very, very special. Yes.
Like there's not a lot of people, like even other artists that I admire, that I'm like, if I were able to meet you, that would be really cool, and I wouldn't take that for granted. But he's like,
he's a true storyteller.
yes, like when I'm thinking of like anyone, well, at least for living artists, like he is like number one on my list. Like if I could meet any contemporary artist like today, right now, it would literally be him.
Let's trade it. Let's make this happen.
Titus, I'm coming for you.
So
not in a creepy way. Not in a creepy way.
No creeps. So last couple questions here.
Yes.
To kind of like end this beautiful arc. How are you influenced by him in your work now? And are you? I mean, I'm of course, but in what
so
ways?
like I said, as a whole,
maybe the themes of family, perhaps?
The themes of family, definitely specifically in this piece, but I really like the way that he layers history in his work, but I know that for like even a lot of local artists who like I really admire and I've had the opportunity to go in their studios and see what they're working on or go to shows and just the history that is embedded in the work, the research, whether it is like research directly or stories that rely on like research from other cultures or dating back to certain periods. Like that is something that I definitely take away from him because I think when I was in college, initially I did not want to go to college, but I am glad that I did, and especially for studying art because I feel like I was able to actually learn how to think. You know, like that's
What
not
I think college does. If
it's like you're
anything.
really learning
Yeah.
how to think and think about things like analytically and what are things saying. And so
I can just see how it's been so fun chatting with you and talking with you because I can see how your brain is. I can peek through. Okay, I'm
Thank
obviously
you.
not gonna know. I know. I just like open it up, but
just open my brain up.
no, I just love how you're thinking about things, and it's very deep and meaningful. I
And
love
it's
that.
just layers. And so, like, seeing the way that he does that in the work, where it's like you're pulling on these historical references, but you're also choosing like specific images. You're thinking about the way, what is the material saying when it's displayed in a certain way. And that's something that he's an artist that I see that does that a lot. And literally seeing his work in person, like in
think about it.
2018. That stuck with me. But also like what we were
gotta go
talking
see a
about.
show. Let's make this happen. I'm serious.
I'm very
because
serious
I like
too.
going to see, and also I don't know if you're like this, but I do read the little placards.
Oh, you do? Yes.
No, okay, so we don't.
Okay.
Okay,
Because
no,
I was
see,
gonna say,
I'm
you
like,
know, some people just
no, I'm not a glancer. I'm like I need to
read and get the
absorb-
context.
Okay, so you do read.
Yes.
Okay, I thought you're like, no, I'm not that person.
No, because honestly,
because I want to know their perspective, and then I push it in my brain.
because you know, there like I was literally at a gallery yesterday, and I don't know, maybe there are people like when you just come up to a work and it's like, I see all of the things. That is not always me. Sometimes, especially like, I want to say, especially like if it's more abstracted art, it's like, okay, I need
Ellsworth
the
Kelly.
context.
It took me a really long time to understand Ellsworth Kelly because I don't know if you've heard of him.
Yeah, of course, yes.
And his stuff became so abstract that I'm like, what's so special about it? But then I understood. It's like teaching you how to see in a different way, and it flipped my brain, and I was like, what just happened?
And yes, literally reading the placards, I am that person.
That's what helped.
Because it's just like sometimes if I just look at things by itself, it's like, oh, okay, like I'm seeing things, but am I taking away what the artist might have intended? Maybe, maybe not.
It's
So
almost like an honor to the artist because you're like,
Yes.
I'm taking the time to really. Oh, I love that.
Yes.
Okay,
I am that
so
person.
You are that person, and I'm that person. We're gonna be that person together.
Yes.
At Titus Kafar's show.
At Titus Kafar's show. Yeah, he's an artist that I take away. Well, I would say an artist that I admire who does those things really well and has influenced me. But there's lots of like, even like local artists. Like, do you know Paula Mans?
Who?
Paula Mans.
I probably, if
She's an artist based here.
I've probably seen her work because I go to like all the shows here.
I feel like for artist studios that I've been to, I haven't been to a lot of artist studios. I think Paula's studio is probably like my favorite like artist studio visit that I've ever done.
Maybe if you can connect me, I'd love to maybe talk
Her
about it.
work, especially like some of the work where I at a period, and I think I'm cycling back to it, being very inspired by literature and specifically folktales. She is in that realm as well.
That's exciting.
But she's like one of those people that is you're pulling from different oral histories. But she does the research. Like she goes to the plantation, learns about the plantation, has taken soil from plantations and used it in the work. Or like literally Paula, like literally shout out to Paula. She needs to be a professor in my opinion. Reading about these things, like she's an artist that I know, like contemporary, literally lives in DC, who inspires me so much to really just dig deeper and do the work of researching these things. Because obviously art can look really good aesthetically. I think I'm always biased for work that has meaning and has layers to it.
Same.
Not like, I think art can be fun. It can mean
But
a
I'm
lot.
drawn
It
to the
can mean
ones that
nothing.
have that meaning.
But
Yeah,
that's the
same.
intention that I make my work from, and I am just intrinsically always attracted to work like that.
So you might like Nikisha Duray because I saw
Yes. Yes.
she was just at the Washington Studio School. She gave a talk
Of
this
course
Thursday.
she was. And was I there? No.
Okay, I'm just gonna invite
Of
you. When
course. Because I wanted to. She used to have a studio in Stable, but I had never been to Stable until before it was closing. And so she was not there for the
At
open
that point.
studio. But I have a friend who told me that they are a neighbor to her.
Ooh, okay.
I'd be like, help me make the connect.
Well, especially because when the research she did for her Queen City installation,
Mhm.
and how basically, for those who don't know, Queen City, and I don't mean to be talking to
No,
but
it's all good.
for
Talk
those
to
who,
our
we're gonna-
viewers.
for those who don't know, Queen City was a city here where essentially it was eminent domain in
Mhm.
DC so that the parking lot of the Pentagon could be built.
Yep.
And it was a primarily Black, underdeveloped community because the white community surrounding it, they were not putting money in there. And she really did such a beautiful job honoring and doing the
Yes.
research and like who she chose to help her make that and tell the stories. I really want to continue to talk with her, but that makes me think of what you're saying.
Yeah, just artists who are doing the work of
Yeah.
finding the layers, like historically.
It makes my brain
but even-
explode in a beautiful way. I'm like, I
yes.
want to do this. This is why I love it.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's why I like your work. Just to
Thank you,
circle
Maya.
back on
I'm
that.
sorry. Yeah, I'm like fangirling now.
No,
Yes.
that could be like a third podcast that you create and I create with you or whatever. So I want to ask you to sort of wrap this up.
Mhm.
What's a lie that you told yourself as an artist or that you tell yourself as an artist?
Yeah, I feel like this is, I'm not going to say it's something that I'm still working through, because I am understanding who I am. But I would say, like, even just a few years ago, um, just feeling like, not saying like I don't have anything to say, because I feel like being in a place like DC where there's so many talented artists here, and I feel like all of the artists that I know are one of one. I don't know a lot of people who are doing the same things. So everyone is super unique. And so for me, like, making that decision, like, especially like when I left teaching, like, oh, I'm actively like pursuing a career or some type of path in art. But I was just like, what do I have to say? Do I have anything important to say? What makes me so different from like, what am I doing that all of these people are doing? Like, how am I in the same rooms or could be on the same level or even get opportunities like them? And it's just been a lot of work of, like I said, like, just slowly like connecting the dots of like bridging some of the concepts that I had from my earlier work and just seeing like, oh, okay, these things are all connected, even if the work itself is physically evolving. But yeah, I just didn't think that I had anything important to say, like compared to the artists that I know in the city, compared to artists that have made history, you know? Yeah, but I feel like everybody has something to say. Whether you're talking about yourself and people relate to it, whether you're talking about larger issues that affect people. Yeah, that was definitely a lie that I would say that, yeah, I just had to work through, and just, yeah, just not believing that I could be an artist. Because one of the things as I'm going on this journey, it isn't always about talent, sadly. It isn't always about what's up here. Sometimes it is just about visibility. Sometimes it is just about who you know. And I feel like earlier I just kind of was letting that deter me and just like be unmotivated and just keep comparing myself. But yeah, I think I know who I am, and I'm very grateful for the people who see themselves in my work, for the people who find value in what I'm doing, because it's definitely helped me. And it's like, oh, okay, maybe I'm not crazy. Maybe I do have something to say.
You definitely do. I'll be your
You
hype
know?
person.
Thank you, Maya.
Just call me. I'll be like, yeah.
But yeah, it's been an interesting journey, but I'm grateful. I'm still learning, and I'm grateful to still be
I like
learning.
that. I like that. Okay,
Yeah.
last question. And thank you so
Yes.
much. Oh my God. I love I love how open you are.
Thank you.
What's your artist truth?
Ooh, what is my artist truth? Ooh, that's a good question, Maya. I love I'm gonna do my little mic drop. That's a mic drop question. What is your artist truth?
You're so funny.
I'm trying to think because I don't want to be like basic, but just initially like kind of building off of what I just said, I feel like I just am who I am, whatever that means and whatever that looks like in whatever season I'm in. I am making the work that is meaningful to me, and I find value in it. Other people find value in it. And yeah, I don't know. That's all I just keep thinking. Cause like I said, I am definitely still growing like what I want to do and just slowly figuring out how do I want to keep mixing materials? How do I want to keep like expanding the messages that is coming through my work? And yeah, like I don't know exactly who I will be, but I feel like I'm becoming more aware and more comfortable of who I am right now. And some of those things have always been with me, but your awareness of it just grows.
You're probably rediscovering yourself.
Yeah. So that's what I would say is my artist truth. Like I've always been who I am, but you're just growing a little more and your understanding of that is growing.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that.
Hopefully that didn't sound confusing. Thank you so much, Maya. This was so good.
All right,
let's
plug you though. Let's plug you. Is there anything else you want to plug? With regards to when this will be released, I have a couple dates in mind.
Yes,
so
please send me like where can I find your other ones?
Oh, I have smaller form on TikTok.
Okay.
And Instagram, because I noticed that most artists are actually on Instagram, so I need to start posting more of those.
Yeah, I was about to say I never made the TikTok pivot. Like
to be honest, it is a lot better designed as a tool than Instagram, but the artists love the Instagram.
I love Instagram because like even with Snapchat, like I had it, but like could I really get into it? So I'm like, I'm boring.
No, and the artists are on. I mean, all the artists are posting there. But what I will say is, this is gonna go on YouTube, and then I'll explore other audio formats. But I really like people seeing the person.
Yeah.
So it's called the Artist Cut, and so once that's posted, I'll be sure to send it to you so you can.
Yes, but send me the other ones too. I would love to see this.
Definitely.
You're good at this, Maya. So I need to see the rest of them. You're really good at this.
Say this again.
Yes. She's really good at this, y'all. She's good.
But let's plug you. Where can people find you?
Okay, so we were talking about this earlier. This show will be closing on March 8th. The show that's up in the WPA Gallery.
Braids and Threads, Connecting Legacies.
Yes, we will have a closing performance on March 8th. I actually don't even know the times.
We're going to look into it.
We're going to look into those. But it will be on March 8th. And it is, I believe, during the daytime. That's like a Saturday. Don't quote me, y'all. It's March 8th.
But yeah.
Is that a Saturday or is it a Sunday? It's a Sunday. Okay, it might be a Sunday. Sorry, y'all.
Look, I was a year early for Amy Sherald's show that never ended up showing up.
You were ready, though. Before most of the public knew, you knew. So, where can I find Amy Sherald?
Yeah, where is this?
She's not here yet. She's not here. You're like, oh, I'll come back next year. I love that. That's such a good problem to have, though, honestly.
I was excited.
You're like, I know what I came to see. Thank you. Direct me.
So then I updated it in my calendar. I was like, okay, not 2024, 2025. Reminder. Yeah.
Yeah. Shout out to you for going to see it. Because Maya, not the ER. You're like now or never.
It was now or never. It
But
was
this
literally
is
a day before it closed and everything.
Because the crazy thing is, the library that is near where I live, they had her book for that show.
Wow.
And so
I ended up buying the catalog.
it's so good.
Yeah.
And so I checked out the book and I was like, oh my goodness, these are amazing. But this was maybe like a year ago or so. Maybe they put it out in
No, I mean
2024.
she was having different. Yeah. No, you're right.
And
It
so
was just that in DC it was gonna close.
Yeah.
Right. So.
And so when they put out the book, like I saw this a year, I want to say like a year or at least close to a year before I went to see it at the Whitney. And so when I got there, I was like, I've seen this painting. Where did I see this? And it's like, Autumn, you looked at the whole book not knowing that this was the show, but seeing it in the book versus seeing it in person.
How big these pieces
Because
are.
honestly, maybe this is my hot take, or maybe this is what will get me canceled. I know there are so many people who are obsessed with her Michelle Obama portrait. It's very, very lovely. However, for me, looking at that show as a whole, that's not the diamond for me. Like, that's a really good painting, but I'm like, oh, if you think this is the best that Amy can do, look at the rest of the show.
Which one is the diamond? Now I'm curious.
So personally, I like the direction that she's going in, where she's putting her.
The triptychs?
I did. Oh my goodness, yes. Those were and I love the way that they had everything installed in the Whitney. That was very
great,
beautiful
yeah.
with the triptychs. But I like that she's placing these people in environments, because personally,
I see what you're saying.
I really think that her style is unique. You will never get it confused with anyone else.
I was in Philly walking around in downtown and I came across her huge mural. And
She has
I
a
knew
mural.
she has a huge mural and it's the individual and then a blue background. It was like and I was like, oh, that looks like an Amy Sherrill. And I walked up to it
And it's
I was
like, it is.
Well, okay.
But seeing like her older work with some of those pattern, like I loved those like patterned or like splotchy,
I
like
gotta check those out. I don't know if I've
like
seen that.
I'm gonna show you a picture because I feel like you've seen them, but her figures are kind of still just floating on these backgrounds, but the backgrounds were a little more dynamic in some of her older pieces.
Gotcha.
Then she went to just like the solid colors, which I think served its purpose, but it just wasn't my favorite because the figures are just kind of static.
That's
So
the thing, though,
now,
it's like backgrounds with portraiture is so hard. I don't know what to. Anyway, okay, this is like my
but
thing.
seeing like some of her newer, where it's like, okay, these people are
putting them
in
in
dynamic
context. Yeah.
poses, they're in environments, and like the
The kid that is going down
the
the
kid
slide.
down the
yeah,
slide is
that's
one of my favorites.
I saw
And
that
the
one originally
one-
at the Broad in LA,
Really?
and I was like, oh my gosh, that was
Seeing them in
massive.
because she can paint. I feel like seeing things in image, it's like, this is a cool image. Seeing it in person, she can paint her butt off.
Yeah.
Like literally the details, the reflective surfaces, the textures, like
And that's so hard to do when you're representing black skin, but on a grayscale.
Yes.
So the fact, yeah, it just blows my mind.
That one was one of my favorites. And the one with the man on the tractor,
Yes.
the grass,
Ooh, yes.
the-
yes.
the trap, like,
the power too of the
yeah,
seeing a black farmer.
yes. That one was definitely one of my favorites when I'm just thinking
And the
about
bicycle, the
detail.
the-
Yeah,
yeah.
that one was like right across
right-
from
yeah.
Amy, she can paint. And I just love the direction that her work is
Yeah.
going in.
Okay, but you never answer the
Okay,
question.
I'm sorry. I'm going on a
Who
tangent.
are you? How do people well, we know who you are now,
Yes.
but part of you. We just know like
Yes.
this much. Okay, how do people find you on
People
Instagram?
can find me. I'm very easy to find on social media. I'm primarily on Instagram. Sorry, I never made the cross to TikTok. But my Instagram is at autumnspears.art. Very easy to find. I do have a show that is opening up actually next week. It's a group
Congratulations.
exhibition. Thank you. It is called All That Carrying On. It's at the King Street Gallery I think
I
that's
gotta
the
go
name
check
of
that
it.
out. I gotta
Okay.
go.
It is a part of like Montgomery College. I can literally send you
Yeah,
the flyer.
no, I would love to see it.
Yeah, the opening
Oh,
reception
wait, is
is this
it?
coming Thursday.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a group show, curated by another like super talented like artist, like Mike Booker, crazy
Amazing.
artist. But yeah, that'll be on Thursday, February 26th from 5 to 7 p.m. Yeah, I
I'm
have
excited for
some
you.
things like coming up in the works, like
We're not gonna
more
jinx it, though.
details.
Should we
I
jinx
do have one of them. Okay, I don't know the actual time for it, but it is on their website. I do have a workshop at the National like Museum of Women in the Arts.
When? Because right now they have, oh my gosh.
So that is on March 7th. That whole weekend is gonna be busy.
So that's not going to be the weekend we go to the VMFA to see Titus Kafour. Then we're gonna scratch that weekend. Gonna have to find another weekend.
But yeah, that'll be
I'm
on March
excited for you.
7th.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's March 7th. The closing
Wow.
closing performance for this is March 8th.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
You're gonna be walking around in your cardigan art piece. Yep.
Yes. It's gonna be a whole spectacle.
Thank you for this beautiful conversation. I
Thank
really
you,
appreciate I'm gonna give you a hug once
Maya.
we turn this off.
Yes.
Now.
Yes.
Oh,
This was so good.
Oh my goodness.
Shout out to Maya, y'all.
Wait.
Mic drop.
That's it for the Artist Cut. If you enjoyed this, please consider following, subscribing, liking, all the things, leaving a comment so that other people can find it. And you can follow me on all the socials at altx.creates. See you next time.
I just wanna be in the zone.